Lynn Stewart and the Law. Lynn Stewart is, simply speaking, a legend in the realm of law for her defense of people engaged in struggles against the powerful. That said, I think it's safe to say that although she has defended black nationalists, Lynn Stewart is not a black nationalist. She's defended Puerto Rican nationalists, though I bet she isn't a Puerto Rican nationalist. And though she defended Omar Abdel-Rahman, known as the Blind Sheikh, who was convicted of involvement in the first terrorist strike at the World Trade Center, we can all agree she's no terrorist. It is only in this maddening age, in the shadows of 9/11, that a prosecution like this could even be contemplated and won. And that is a testimony more to fear than to reason. Let's be honest. She was convicted of essentially breaking a prison rule. You know, if a prisoner violates a prison rule, he or she may get 30 or 60 days in a hole, or perhaps a reprimand. In the United States of America, Lynn Stewart faces 30 years. That should make you wonder, not about Lynn Stewart, but about the country you're living in, about the nature of the thing we all call the law. Lynn Stewart, a 66-year-old woman, is facing a life sentence for breaking a prison rule. Of course, being the feds, prison rules have fancy titles like the Special Administrative Measures, or SAMs. And yes, lawyers had to sign it to see their clients, but that's what it is, a prison rule. Lynn's only crime, if it can be called that, is thinking that the old rules still applied after 9/11. We, all of us, live in a world where Congress recently debated torture and agreed to let George W. Bush decide, where secret prisons now sit, administered by the CIA in the former Soviet bloc countries, where habeas corpus, remember that so-called Great Writ, will be denied to those who are tortured by U.S. military and government employees or private contractors on King George's say-so. It's time for people to join hands, join forces, and join movements to change this sad state of affairs. Lynn Stewart's work in support of human rights for all and a zealous defense for all is a damn good starting point. From death row, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
These commentaries are produced by Noelle Hanrahan for Prison Radio.
Punishing Lynn. Lynn Stewart, the activist lawyer, was recently sentenced to 10 years in prison. This outstanding lawyer, a 70-year-old grandmother, who's facing the serious threat of breast cancer, was originally sentenced to 2 years and 4 months, but the federal appeals court apparently felt that wasn't enough. The same appeals court that traditionally reverses the convictions of cops who torture or kill black citizens, who traditionally rely on the judgments of the trial judges, reversed Stewart's sentence as not tough enough. So much for tradition. For Lynn's tradition wasn't that of the Tony, Tie and Tails law firms of Manhattan. She didn't represent the rich, the powerful, the well-heeled. She represented the poor, the oppressed, the dispossessed, the black, the Latino, the Arab, the damned, those whom Frantz Fanon called the wretched of the earth. A juxtaposition. Many lawyers in the Office of Legal Counsel, in the White House, in the CIA, and the Defense Department violated criminal laws, the military code, the Geneva Conventions, and the Convention Against Torture to aid and abet violations of law and the Constitution for years. Guess how many of them face trial? Guess how many of them will in future? How many of them will ever face prison? None, none, and none. For their crimes were on behalf of the powerful, hence their immunity. Or consider what is known in international law as the supreme crime, wars of aggression. Iraq will be a basket case for generations, thanks to U.S. arrogance and greed. Will anybody be brought to book for this crime that shattered a nation, that sent millions into exile, and killed perhaps 1 million men, women, and children? Don't hold your breath. There are still black sites, secret prisons, where tortures happen daily. There are still extraordinary renditions, clear violations of the Convention Against Torture. But politicians are doing it, not to protect the nation, but to secure elections. Torture for votes. And a 70-year-old grandmother, a lawyer, is sent to prison for 10 years for violating a prison rule that is an unconstitutional relic of the so-called war on terror. This is what an empire in decline looks like. From death row, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
These commentaries are recorded by Noelle Hanrahan of Prison Radio.